Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. McLean, could we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. McGinnis? Here. Mr. Need?
Here.
Ms. Catalina?
Here.
Mrs. Crane?
Here.
Mr. Heyer?
Here.
Mrs. Horst?
Here.
Mrs. Egan?
Here. Item 1.3, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community hearing. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in agenda items 3 and 9. Item 1.4 is election of temporary chair. Could I have a motion, please?
I move that we make Mrs. Egan our temporary chair.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 1.4 is the appointment of the temporary secretary. Could I have a motion, please?
I move we make Mr. Heyer our temporary secretary.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 1.6 is the election of board officers. Item 1.6.1 is the election of our new president for the school year of 2019-2020. The floor is open for nominations. Could I have nominations, please?
Mrs. Egan, I nominate Kelly Horst for the office of president.
I move that we close nominations.
Support.
All those in favor of closing nominations for the office of president, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Since we have one candidate, we can use a voice vote. All those in favor of electing Mrs. Kelly Horst as our new president, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Mrs. Horst, you can continue the meeting.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. I feel very lucky to take this over following 3 tremendous presidents who sit at this table. Mrs. McGinnis, Mr. Heyer, Mrs. Egan, thank you so much for leading us in years past. Always keeping the focus where it belongs on our students, our employees, our community, so I promise to follow that. I also promise to be efficient, so in the name of that, we will move on with our agenda, and I will seek motions for the nomination of Vice President.
I nominate Mr. Greg Need as vice president.
I move to close nominations.
Support. Okay. Nominations are closed.
We have to vote.
Oh, we have to vote to close, okay? All those in favor of closing nominations for Vice President, say aye.
Aye.
Great, with only one candidate, we can do a voice vote. All in favor?
Ask for opposed.
Did you ask for any opposed votes?
Oh, I'm sorry, are there
Any-
any?
I know.
I know, thank you so much. Any opposed to closing nominations? Motion carries. Now we can do a vote. Yes, all in favor of Mr. Need for Vice President, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and thank you, Mr. Need, for backing me up.
Thank you.
Great. Item 1.6.3 is Treasurer.
I nominate Mrs. McGinnis. And I'll move to close nominations.
Support.
Efficiency at its best.
This is efficient. It's too efficient for me to keep up. Great. Okay,
We approve closing nominations.
great. And motion to approve closing nominations? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, nominations for treasurer are closed. All in favor of Mrs. McGinnis as treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you and congratulations, Mrs. McGinnis. Item 1.6.4, Secretary.
Mrs.
Motions?
Horst, I'd like to nominate Stephen Heyer as secretary.
Okay.
And just to go 4 for 4, I'll move to close nominations.
And I'll support.
Okay. All in favor of closing nominations for secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nominations for secretary are closed. All in favor of Mr. Heyer as secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Heyer. Congratulations. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item 2 is approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented and updated.
Support.
Great. Yes, so right before the meeting, I did pass around the sheet for board appointments, or walked around and got everyone's interest on that, so everyone has a chance to see that. It'll be in an updated packet. We'll send that out as well. This one will go out in just a minute. So if everyone is comfortable with that, with their committee assignments, we'll follow up with that in a more formal fashion than my initials in the chicken scratch, but I think everyone now has that, so the consent agenda should be complete. So any other questions or comments on the consent agenda? Ms. McLean, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Need,
Yes.
Mrs. Crane,
Yes.
Ms. Catalina,
Yes.
Mrs. Egan,
Yes.
Mr. Heyer,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinnis,
Yes.
Mrs. Horst.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Vote carries. Okay. Item number 3 is citizens' request to address the board. You are given 2 opportunities to address the board. Under item 3.1, you can request to address the board about any topic that's on tonight's agenda. Under item 9, you're welcome to address the board on any topic. When asking questions or making comments, please state your name and then direct your comment to Mrs. Kelly Horst, President of the Clarkston Board of Education. Are there any citizens in the room tonight who would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4, our superintendent update. Mr. Ryan.
We have no update this evening. Thank you.
Efficiency. That's my word. Item 5 is presentations. We have none tonight. Item 6 is action items. Item 6.1, approval of personnel changes. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the personnel changes as listed on the attached sheets.
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.2, approval for board member attendance at conferences or workshops related to our responsibilities as Board of Education members for next school year. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves board member attendance at any of the conferences in compliance with board bylaws 0175.1 per the sheet that was circulated this evening.
Support.
Great. This sheet was passed around. I know everyone either submitted in writing to Mrs. McLean or just tonight when you arrived your preference for conferences. Any other questions? Addendum to the sheet. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6.3, approval of resolution supporting additional revenues to fund education. I guess my name's on that. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the attached resolution supporting additional revenues to fund education as presented.
Support.
Right. Just a quick background, in my role in this past year as advocacy chair, we did present a few resolutions to the board for approval. This one is related to our current situation with the legislature and their ongoing, debate over what our revenue is going to be for the upcoming year and how they're going to fund education. All 3 branches of government have submitted plans, and this really just states our position as a school board, which one of those that we are most in support of. And both philosophically, I think, as we want them to move not only to a higher base funding rate, but more of a weighted approach that recent research has supported and really claimed as the best way to serve students, but also our governor has proposed, both houses of the legislature moved away from that and in fact proposed vastly different approaches that we do not think will be beneficial to kids. So we felt that at this point, now that all 3 branches have offered their thinking, and they continue to debate, and our new school year has started, and we still have no idea what our state revenue is going to be, which is the majority of our revenue for our budget, that we felt it was now time to come out with a strong statement about what we believe here in Clarkston schools for our delegation. So that was the reason for the timing and the language in the resolution. Any other questions or comments on the language? Okay. Mrs. McLean, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Egan,
Yes.
Mr. Heyer,
Yes.
Mrs. McGinnis,
Yes.
Ms. Catalina,
Yes.
Mrs. Crane?
Yes.
Mr. Need?
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Horst?
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. We will forward that to our legislative delegation as soon as possible. Item 7 is reports. There are none. Item 8 is discussion items. There are none tonight. Item 9 is citizen comments. One more opportunity for citizens. Welcome to address the board on any topic tonight. Feeling braver now? Okay, just checking. Item 10 is information items. 10.1, our next Board of Education meeting will be this Wednesday, July 10th. This is our board retreat at Parker's Hilltop. We say a 5:30 start. That really is more of our time to just socialize and get to know our administration. We will start our business meeting at 6. So I know some of you will be coming straight from work. So 6 o'clock hard start, 5:30 if you want to take on Mr. Ryan and the administration and shuffleboard. I feel good about our chances. 10.2, our next regular board meeting scheduled Monday, August 19th at 7 p.m. Anticipate that we will meet early as we did last year, tour some of our construction projects over the summer. So we'll be planning that, of course, as an agenda planning team, but probably block an early start time.
How early,
for that
Mrs.
night.
Horst? How, are you thinking a few hours?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
thinking probably 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll see you all on Wednesday. Item 11 is adjournment. May I have a motion, please?
I move to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.